Thanks everybody for joining me today, joining us all. I'm Dana DeRoy, and I'm the Regional Director of Fashion Group International of North Florida. And I'm very happy to introduce my friend Salwa. She and I met in Denver several years ago at a fashion show, and she invited me to join FGI in Denver. And then when I moved here to Florida, I joined here. So in the past several years that I've known her, I have watched her business grow from sewing custom garments at her home on a sewing machine at her house to having collections manufactured in Los Angeles and a couture line made overseas, handmade overseas. And I wanted to interview Salwa of all people because she is the one person that I know who will say something kind of crazy like, you know, I think I want to have my own lipsticks. And she's the person that will actually make that happen. In a year or two, she'll have her own lipsticks. And so that's why I thought that it would be great to pick her brain. So thank you so much, Salwa. I'm going to ask her some questions, and then at the end, you're all welcome to ask questions, or you can type them into chat as we're going along. All right. So first of all, I know you started out with a bachelor's degree in international business, and you started working in the business field. And then how did you find your way over into fashion design?
So I always knew that I wanted to do fashion design, but I also knew that I didn't want to be the starting artist, which like, it's such a cliche, but it's hard to go into anything creative that requires you to really brand yourself and have a business. So my dad, which Marlon can vouch for that, is very much like, fashion's cute, get a real degree first. So I went for international business, knowing this is not the end, this is part of the process. And I studied international business. My emphasis was finance and my minor was French. And I got to do all that study abroad and really do the business thing. And I got my first job out of college in finance, speaking French every day. So I was like, awesome, I'm using my education. This is great. This is the dream. It pays well. But 7 months into it, I was, you know, sketching designs and hiding them from my boss. And I just like wasn't truly happy. So I decided to start applying for fashion schools and really make sure that I stuck to my plan that I knew was going to ultimately fulfill me. So I applied to Parsons, FIDM, and then I ended up going to FIDM. And pretty much around the same time, so I got married before going to fashion school. And then after almost a year of fashion design and being like, finally I get to have my dream job in fashion. I'm in LA, I'm gonna apply here and there, and like, you know, I've been working on my portfolio. This is it. We found out we're pregnant with our first, Izzy. And I was like, awesome, but like, why? Like, you know, like truth be told, I thought I had my path figured out, and God had a different plan. You're going to be a mom. And so, you know, raising kids in LA or California without family, the options are you get a really pricey childcare and you don't see your kid, or you try to make it work. So I graduated from fashion school. You know, I was like 3-4 months pregnant, and then I just decided, you know, I'll just do my own thing. Like, I can be my own boss. I can do what I want on my time and learn all the lessons along the way on my own. I did not anticipate the lessons to be so many and so pricey, but I wouldn't trade anything because now I kind of get to, you know, have my babies, be a mom, and have my business. So that's kind of how I got into fashion.
All right. Now, can you tell us about all the many different facets of your business now? It's not just fashion.
Yeah, so I started with my line. It was very personal to me to have only my designs with my label because I wanted to make sure that I was a legit fashion designer. Once I stripped some of that, which is really ego thinking of like, okay, how can I better cater to all the needs? Because the designer price point is here. Women sometimes can only buy like a $40 shirt. I can't produce it that right now. So I got my buyer's license, and I started going to market as a buyer and carrying other items. So I have my stuff, and then I carry other items to kind of take care of all the needs. Styling is important to me. I first started with a blog, and I would give stay-at-home moms makeovers and take their before and after pictures. So I do that now. I do closet revamps, and I have personal styling clients. I don't really advertise that too much. It's more word of mouth, but I love it because I love working with women and just helping them feel more confident. And then there's, you know, the fitness is like the kind of like my, I would say latest edition, although now it's been 2 years, so it's not that like recent. But I was a dancer, I was a gym rat, and I just, I decided that I think it's important for women to be fit. If I have a client and I'm going to dress you, I want you to feel good about your body, and I'm going to share my workouts with you. And what I do is I dance. So I decided to brand that and launch that and create that program. And then my events are important fashion shows. Like, I don't necessarily love events just for events. So I produce my own so I can tie it to a cause, and I can really put people on stage that I think deserve the stage for one reason or another. It's very intentional. So my events are another facet of that. And then the blog, I love to write.
All right. So being a mom and a designer and a fitness guru and everything else that you do you have any tips for time management? How do you do it all? I know you don't sleep very much, but besides that, how do you do it all?
So time management is tricky, but it's not until you have children that you truly understand, because I think anybody that has had children can vouch for that. Like, when people that don't have children are like, I don't have enough time for this. I'm like, how? You have so much time. It's not until you've been behind a sewing machine nursing a baby that you understand how to use your time wisely. So, and probably that's not a very safe thing to admit I ever did, but no one got hurt. So now as I add different, additions to my business, I actually do have a binder. I'm old school like that, with different dividers. And one of them will be like, okay, fitness, here's what I want to accomplish in this area. This is for like videos. This is what I hope to accomplish. Like, you have to compartmentalize it and then stack it in priority, because I know not every area of my business is going to be at the top of its game at the same time. But what is the to-do, the next to-do? And then I tackle that section first. And then I know that the others are there. I can see them. I wrote it out. So it's not like I'm forgetting. I'm just choosing to handle other things first. And really, like, putting things in order of priority and writing out a schedule actually works. Some days the schedule doesn't happen, especially with kids. I'm like, oh yeah, I got nothing done. But, the effort's there, the daily practice is there. And that's kind of like really how I do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So speaking of all of that, how often do you reevaluate your business plan and your website?
All the time. I do a yearly social media cleanse, which is very important to me spiritually. Number one, that's like my spiritual practice, to really get in touch with myself and make sure that everything I'm doing is in line with my purpose and what I want to do in this lifetime, and not what, like, feedback on social media or what people love, but it's really me. And then I usually rebrand anytime I feel a shift or something, like, okay, I'm doing more of this. I need to incorporate that in my business. And I think that it's important for people to launch knowing you're going to evolve and you're going to rebrand. I think if you put the pressure that everything has to be a certain way at launch, you'll never launch. And so I have rebranded, honestly, probably every year to two. And it's true to me. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to do a new shoot, rebrand. It's like, it's deeper than that. And I think every entrepreneur should rebrand, because we're evolving. Nobody's the same every couple of years. Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned your social media cleanse. You have a really great social media presence. But when you do that cleanse, how long does it last? And how is that helpful for you?
I used to do it every January. So kick off the year, really think about what I want to accomplish this year and just get, prioritize my life. And the year of my bigger rebrand was 2018. I ended up off social media 4.5, almost 5 months. And I figured, you know what, I've done my share. If people are going to forget about me and I'm going to become irrelevant, then I'm not doing it right. And literally I hopped back on it. It was like no time passed, and people, are really excited to see the changes. I just got off my 2-month social media cleanse, and same thing. I don't feel like anybody's like, wait, who that is? How you say her name? Like, people, like, if they connect with you, they'll connect with you, and you can go and you can come back, and it'll be like, oh, we missed you, but good to see you. And that you can take time to yourself. You shouldn't give your power away to social media. That does not determine your business.
So this year, during your social media cleanse, this whole quarantine thing happened. How is this affecting your business and your outlook?
Well, what's funny? I think I don't know. I think I felt it coming, because I went to church around Ash Wednesday, and I was like, I keep thinking, and I feel like God keeps telling me, you got to unplug. time to reset, unplug. And in my head, I thought, well, I already have scheduled so many things that for me to unplug now would be like disconnecting from the world. And I don't know if it's a good time, but I did it anyways. And then 3 months later, 3 weeks, everybody's distance from everybody. And I was like, oh my God, like, wow, I'm like psychic, not really though, but you know, and so the pandemic going on, the only thing that really affected me with regards to my time away is that there were moments where it is scary. And I wanted to see, what is everyone doing? And like, hello, you know, I'm home alone and I don't know what's going to happen. And I wanted to connect with people, but I also knew that that was a time to connect with myself. And, you know, we make a lot of decisions based off fear. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not one of those people. So the fear of the unknown, are people going to be shopping? I moved out of my showroom. I had physical space I wasn't able to access. So I moved out, a lot of like scary changes, but without having access to the world and how they're reacting to it, it made me reevaluate what's good for me. For me, I started my business online. My clients are everywhere. And I started to like lose sight of that to have a local brick and mortar presence. And then it was like, oh no, you know what? You need to reconnect online. You need to revamp your online store. You were on the right track. So it actually was a blessing because now I'm rebuilding and expanding my e-commerce site. And that was like time that I would have never taken to do that. So all in all, it was good, but you know, scary for everybody.
Yeah, so I know, you know, in the beginning when we met, you know, you would do custom sewing. People would choose their fabric and the style that they would want and the size that they would want. And then you've got your resort line, you've got couture, you also have your curated collection, your fitness. What do you see next for your business?
So one of the cool additions that I'm excited about in my e-commerce site is that I've added one section that's shop my closet, because I have followers message me all the time that want to buy what I'm wearing. And sometimes it's by me and I can send them a link. Sometimes it's not, but like it'll be, for example, this dress. This is a Vince Camuto dress that probably like once I've been photographed in it, I'm not going to wear it. Or I have stuff hanging with tags, or I have some vintage finds. So I'm adding all that stuff. And my goal really with that is to grow that as a platform for other women to sell their stuff. So everybody has something that they don't wear, or sometimes they bought it as tags, and not everyone has the patience to go list it on eBay or Poshmark. If somebody can do that for you and you have the ability to keep it going, that's kind of like a platform that I'm working on.
Okay, so when you do have a new project like that, or say, for example, like I said earlier, when you decided you were going to have your own lipsticks, how do you start this process? How do you go about it?
It depends on the project. I do a lot of brainstorming, a lot of like, you know, I have sketchbook, I have lists, and I also meditate. I know I don't look like the meditating kind, but I am. Like, I know it. And a lot of stuff just comes, and then you just have to like start manifesting. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It depends on the project, but I think it's just start, just go, you know?
One of your projects is, well, Fierce in the City, your big show every year. So could you please tell us about that and how it's different from other fashion shows?
Sure. Fierce in the City, which I have two people in this chat that have been in it in one way or another. Marlene, the opera singer, and Angela walked in the fitness segment because she has her own fitness brand. And so that's an example. So I have a fitness line. Instead of having, you know, just models that may or may not work out, they might just be hungry, who knows? Like, I want real women in the fitness community to model those clothing. So that's kind of like where Angela came in, and she modeled in that fitness segment. I have, instead of walking to like DJ music, let's spotlight performers who really bring like their own passion and purpose. So like Marlene, amazing opera singer, she performs in like the couture segment. So it really is like a passion project where I want to put people on a stage that are getting something out of it and are going to leave feeling even more fierce. And I have a real women segment. These are women that have never been on stage, maybe, or probably have never had a photo shoot, and then they have that experience and they go off and feel a little bit more fierce. So there's no wasted segment. Every segment has a purpose, has a flavor, and I feature other designers. I like don't expect anybody to want to come watch a fashion show of just my stuff. So I hope to also empower other designers and match them with a musician and have different flavor models on the runway. And it's just a really fierce experience. I love it. It grows every year. This past year was like by far, I tripled it in size from the one before. So now this year I actually have like sponsors already reaching out to me and I'm like, oh, I'm so legit, you know, like it's cool.
Another thing people might not know about you is that you also give back to the community. So could you please tell us about your charity projects?
Yeah, so I feel like, I know it sounds so cheesy, but with power comes responsibility. And anytime you have any sort of voice or platform, you have to give back. And I like Girls Inc. That's who I play with now, but if something else comes up, I will. They empower young girls. And so a percentage of the ticket sales go to them. And, you know, it's just, I like to do different campaigns with nonprofits. I think it's just this like responsible thing to do, especially working in fashion, which can be very superficial. It's nice to say, hey, we also can use that an avenue for giving back. Everything can give back in its own way.
I've just got one more question, then we can open it up. What would you say is your best piece of advice for empowering your brand?
I would say to really understand that the value of your brand is you. So there is, you know, there's the substance of your brand. I'm very visual. I'm very visual. So here, say for example, don't ask me why I have this on my desk. This cake stand is a platform, right? So your platform is like social media. It's your LinkedIn, it's your Facebook. It's great. You should use it. The box, that's your branding. You make it aesthetically, you know, speak to you. It's your colors. It reflects you. But like what you really need to work on is like what's inside the box. Because otherwise, once people like get past the pretty photo shoot, the pretty branding, like you need something in here. And that's really, I think sometimes people miss the mark. Especially, you know, like you want something pretty in the box. Like that's what you work on. You work on the substance. Social media gives everybody a voice. Anybody can go get a website. At some point, people are going to be like looking for that, you know, the substance. And you can't get so carried away with the branding. Branding is important, but I think if you work on the core, what you offer, the rest will follow. If you don't, at some point, people are going to, you know, yeah, they'll like the picture, but there's nothing there for them to connect with. They'll go on to the next best picture. It's not a photo shoot competition. It's like what's inside, you know, the core. And everybody has a story too. And I would say, connect your story. Like I'm not the only fashion designer, fitness, whatever. Like there's a lot of people that can do different things, but you're the only person that has the unique combination of talents and you have your own story. You know, I personalize my brand. I share about my stillbirth, I share about my divorce. I feel like if you share the things that personalize you, then people can connect and you have something that offers a service and then you brand that.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions that you would like to ask Salwa? Marlene, you've got your hand up. So if you can unmute yourself.
I have one. Good job, sis. You sound fierce. I love it. I just wanted to know if there's ever been a mistake or like an issue with the business and with your brand that then turned into something positive and how you kind of turned it around and turned it into something good.
You could have warned me that you were going to ask this. There's been a lot of mistakes, I would say, that I turned into something good. Absolutely. I guess if I'm going to get down to like a specific example and not broad, when I was going to my first trade show, I didn't know how trade shows work. So I thought, find out how many buyers are going, and then I need to print a line sheet, a folder. Actually, I have one right here. This is really, like I promised I didn't plan this, guys. I made these little folders, which empowering women through the joy of fashion was my mission statement. I printed 2,000 because they're like, oh, there'll be 2,000 buyers, but nobody told me is like, those 2,000 buyers are not going to come to your booth. So the amount of money that I spent printing these folders, printing line sheets, and then standing at my booth, like, who wants, you know, it was like, I felt so stupid and I felt kind of broke. And I just raised my ROI, right? Because I have all this promo marketing material that I thought buyers were going to be like jumping over and like I was with it. But I didn't know. I didn't even know that you have to do pre-trade show work and call buyers to even get them to come to you. I didn't know. So what, you know, I got home, I'm like, okay, I have all this marketing material. I'm not just going to sit here with it. So it forced me to then plan like events around it. So I planned a very specific trade show where I had this, where I sat women, I had the thing. I reached out to local boutiques. Some of them came, some of them didn't. Buyers are finicky, but I had the content. I was not going to it didn't go the way I wanted. but it made me connect with more local buyers who now, the women that like, especially the collection I was selling there, the women that like it, they'll buy the whole thing. Like, they become their own spokesperson for it. And, you know, they got a pretty folder out of it. So that's a very specific instance, right? But I think that there's a lot of moments like that where you really could be like, I just lost, that must have been like $1,400 in printing, and on top of the cost of doing a trade show. And I just didn't let it like end that. I'm like, okay, how do we plan stuff around this?
Else have any questions for Salwa? Oh, good. We've got two. Okay.
Yeah.
Angel, would you like to go first?
I really need to fix my name on
Oh,
here.
was it Angela? Is that right?
It's
Angel.
Angela, and I don't know why it shows up like that. So I'm gonna fix that when I get off. But I had a question about, you know, when you first launched your business, how did it feel? How did you deal with, you know, different kinds of feedback? How did you deal with, you know, maybe having thoughts of comparing yourself with other people? I don't know if you ever dealt with that, but that's something that I'm dealing with right now, because in the fitness industry and being on quarantine, everybody went straight to social media and trying to teach fitness classes, video themselves doing this and that. And that is what I'm like fully immersed in. And it's very overwhelming and stressful right now. So I just want to figure out ways to try and mentally, I'm okay physically, you know, I take care of my body, but I just want to figure out ways to, you know, deal with those. Was that a clear question? I kind of
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So when I first started, so scary to start putting yourself out there, especially when you know that you're building something and this is just the start, and you kind of want to be like, hey guys, this is like just the start. I'm going to be really fierce in 10 years, but like I have to start, right? Like when I started, I was doing infinity scarves, because this was before they were a thing. And I thought, okay, if I make a big circle and people can wear it double, that's innovative. And it was really popular, and I sold a lot of them because it wasn't a thing back then. But I was like, I don't want to be the scarf girl, and like my Facebook page looks so homely because it's just me behind a sewing machine making scarves. That's not where I want to go. But understanding that this is the start, that one day you will share. You'd be like, look how far I came, right? You cannot. Oh, and I think I've shared this before too, that I used to post pictures of myself. I would crop my head out. Like, how is that normal? And until I really am grateful for the follower that messaged me, was like, is there something wrong with your face? Because it's okay if there is. I'm like, I mean, it's not like I'm not Tyra Banks, but no, there's nothing wrong with my face. And so I realized, yeah, you need to, like, if you're going to step up, you know? I don't think I ever got feedback, that negative comments. For me, the hardest part was the silent friends. You know, the people that are like, oh, gosh, I've invited them to like my page like 20 times and they still haven't, like, or, oh, they keep telling them, yes, get it. And like, I don't even get it. Like, so for me, it was more tuning out the people that were like either pretending not to see or not seeing, like, and not, you put the attention on the people that do show up, not the ones that don't. The ones that don't, that's not your people. That's not your tribe. And that's great, because they leave space for the people that are your people, that will become your biggest fans. And then they'll post so much about you that they'll attract more of your people. So I think for me, I never got like a mean comment. I'm sure they're coming, but like, especially as I started to put more stuff on YouTube, you got to prepare yourself for the thumbs down, because everybody gets them. But yeah, like I said, it was hard for me at first to not take it personally when I didn't feel like people were giving me the love that I thought that they should if they're my real friends, right? So then, you know, comparison is hard. And I know what you mean with the fitness thing, but everybody, I've noticed now that I'm back, I'm like, wow, everybody is teaching online. But you have to kind of like write it out or draw a circle and put all the things in the circle that make you unique, and then brand that to your story. Like, you are a mom. You've been, how many classes a day have you taught at the gym? Like 4? Like, you're a beast. Like,
A day for
yeah.
A week is like 14 to 16.
Yeah. I mean, so you're not just like, hey, I'm just creating an online brand for fitness. Like some of these other women that you might be comparing yourself to people that are literally full-time content creators, not so much like the real deal in the gym. So you have to brand, which I know you share a lot of you in the gym. That's unique because you're actually in it, doing it all the time. You have your kids. I think that I love that when you shared a little bit of like your husband taking your videos. I thought that was so cute because it shows the realness. So I think brand the fact that you are actually walking the walk and don't worry about making it all glamorous, because more people will relate and be like, oh wow, like that's impressive to me. And that's your sweet spot, is finding all those little unique factors to you. You cannot compare yourself. You cannot compare. Like, you need tunnel vision, Angela, and anybody, tunnel vision, because otherwise it's like you put too much energy into the wrong thing. And that's another reason why I do the social media cleanse, to just kind of like remind myself what I want to do, and not so much, you know, oh, this is the stuff I post that gets the most attention, maybe I should do more of that. And I know that works for people, but for me, it's like, well, I'm not going to post, I think put pictures or, you know, of me in a sports bra gets likes. Well, that's not my brand. I can't just do that. Like, that was just because I was dancing that one day. So really do what's true to you. Don't chase the likes. Be you. You are so unique in that you are probably one of the few people I know that is in the gym trenches full time, you know, doing it and working with these women. And these women are going to be your biggest advocates. They'll do the promoting for you, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, Alexandra, did you have a question too?
Yes, I actually had two, and if I can, and the one actually relates to what we were just talking about. Maybe it's a bit of repetitive, but I know, Salwa, you mentioned that you have this very strong artistic side to yourself, and maybe this is specifically the area where I can relate. How do you overcome doubt when it happens? Maybe it doesn't happen to you, but like when there are moments where you doubt everything you do, maybe not even necessarily comparing yourself to others, but you're like, why am I doing this? And you know, all this, like, how do you manage to stay so high spirited, so to say, in this? It's a very competitive field. Yeah, I looked at your profile, whether it's fashion or fitness, the dance fitness, it's all beautiful, but it's like, it's so highly competitive. When you have those low moments, how do you pull yourself out of that swamp?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I can definitely tell you that I have my moments. My sister who's in this chat can vouch for me. I will send her like 3 of the same picture with like a slightly different, which one's better? I don't know. Wait, do I look fat there? Like, literally, I will doubt. I will sometimes hold content for months and not share it because I'm like, oh, this is maybe too much too soon. Like, so I do have my moments. So the practice that helps me with overcoming that is to remind myself the intention. Why am I sharing this? For example, if I'm going to share, you know, snippets of a dance video, I understand that that could come across a certain way to some people that maybe aren't ready to see a mom dance around in her sports bra. But I also understand that I can give no F's about that, because the intention is to inspire women that have maybe, you know, they have a creative outlet or something that they're not setting free because of fear of judgment. And so my intention is to just put it out there and do me and reach the right people. My intention is not to get validation. So I think that's the biggest thing. That's the ego, to separate like your ego from your soul. So I'm like, my soul wants to dance. My soul wants to share this. My soul wants to share how I wear this outfit. That makes me happy. I put it out there, check, it's done. How it's received, that's not my job. That's everybody else. Some people might be going through their own, you know, body issues, and they're going to choose to hate. I can't fix that. I mean, I can offer a dance class, but I can't fix it, you know. So if you just realize that you're a creator, you have to create. If you are not sharing for fear, you're suppressing, and suppression of what makes your soul happy is actually really toxic. And I do think that is a reason why some people get anxiety and depression, but that's a whole other topic. So don't suppress your creativity because of how it might be received, because that's not your problem. It's not your responsibility. You do you share it, check, job done, on to the next thing, you know?
Thank you. Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
It's more simple. In the beginning, you mentioned that you rebrand maybe every other year or every second year, or every 2 years. Can you give an example? So I understand that you do quite a few different things. And when you meant rebranded, were you specifically talking about the fashion branch of your career?
So no, for me, it's more about my overall lifestyle brand is what I call it now, because I try to offer value to the full being, you know, the outer and the inner and the fitness. So anytime that I want to incorporate something, like the first time I rebranded was just aesthetically, I'm like, I need a logo that looks a little bit less like I made it in my sleep. I need, you know, a nicer website. I rebranded. Then I rebranded. I didn't call my brand by my name because I was so insecure about it. I'm like, Salwa, like who's gonna know how to spell it? Who's gonna know how to say it? And so I used my initials, and that was my, you know, 𝘕 𝘗𝘗, and I had my labels made. And then I was like, why am I not just using my name? Like, why am I so embarrassed to put myself out there? So then I rebranded to my name, and with that came new logo, website, coloring. But then after that, it became, you know, the blog. What topics am I gonna write about? Then I started adding, you know, as soon as other things came along, like the curated collections, not just my designs. Then the Fierce Fitness, which is it's all under the same umbrella, but I have to rebrand and structure how I put it under my, you know, website so that it starts to make sense. It comes together and it makes sense, and they all leverage each other, but there's a distinction. So I think, you know, at first the rebranding was more just looking more professional, looking more polished, and then it became more than that.
All right.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? So if not, actually, I thought of one more, Salwa, and I think I know the answer to this. So during the quarantine, are you still getting up, getting dressed, putting on makeup every day?
Some days I don't get dressed, but I still put on makeup. No, I'm just kidding. No, I am getting up. I wouldn't say I'm like full glam every day. No, what a waste, right? But I do put on clothes. When I have my kids here, I don't want them to think that like I'm like not, you know, making an effort. Plus we go for 2 hikes a day, and so I am getting dressed, but not like, you know, this is like not been every day. No. But I am. I think it's important to feel like, you know, you show up for the day and the day will show up for you. And so part of that for me is to like not be in my athleisure loungewear all day. So yeah, I do.
Right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, or Salwa, anything else you'd like to say?
Connie, I want to ask you, you're like, I'm going to pick on you. Are you starting something with your sewing, or what's happening with that?
No, I just loved you so that's why I had to be here to see this meeting. We go back way before, so I remember you with the sewing and everything. So I just love to see you do you, and it is amazing, and I love you. I tell people about you all the time, so we still have to come and see a show.
You do. I met Connie at support group. We both lost babies. So back in Ohio, this is years. This is what I love. And when I say find your peoples, like she still shows up. She's still always there. I'm like, oh, this is like years later. What, like 11 years later?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Wow. And it has been that long, but you have grown so much. You know, I still want you to write a book. You know,
that's another thing I forgot to mention. I am working on writing, and then I'm going to do a little bit more public speaking because I just want to have a little more impact. I do a lot of sit down with women, like, can I pick your brain over coffee? And don't get me wrong, I love the free coffee to give out advice, but like if I can just give that same advice on a bigger platform, I think it's time. I think I have enough to share that I could hopefully add value. So I've had to work on my confidence to be like, okay, what I have to offer is legit, and it's time to do it in a bigger way, because all these coffee dates are not that productive for you, Salwa. And then if you are helping one person, think of how many more people you can help.
Yes. So. Yes. So I do. I love you, and I'm so proud of you, and thank you for being you.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate it. Sorry about the hacker situation.
Yes. But thanks for everybody for coming back in. And thank you so much, Salwa, for your time today. I know you are a very busy businesswoman, so we appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Salwa or reach out to her, you can find her on social media, and her website is www.salwaowens.com.
Yeah, or my email. Just email me to salwaowens@gmail.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye, guys.
you.